This is the Africa Energy Justice Convening that brings together community members, indigenous people, local communities, miners, and labor union members to discuss what does the energy justice conversation mean to them, but also at the same time, at a time when the world is decarbonizing, we are thinking about what does an energy transition mean, because everybody's talking about energy transition, but this is happening on community lands and territories. It is happening in mining sites that miners have been, artisanal and small-scale miners have been mining over years. So really it's a discussion to say, how do we fit into this conversation? How do we seek justice for ourselves? But also how do we make sure that Africa's transformation, Africa's energy pursuit does not leave local communities, indigenous people, miners and labor unions behind.
Our interest is that when people talk about clean energy and transition, they forget about the people whose lands, whose livelihood and everything are affected by those resources. In this we are talking about communities where their jobs and their livelihood are affected by the people who try to have access to either the solar panels or hydropower or the critical minerals.
For the first time, it's bringing all of us together, and then we now have the opportunity to share experiences and then hearing from each other. One thing stands out, that the struggle is the same. The experiences are the same, the problems are the same.
Africa, it's not like a climate change problem. If you look at it properly, you'll see that it is a solution to the world. And if we have that framing, if you look at DRC, look at its water resources, look at its minerals, look at its forestry and land and so forth, you'll see that it is a solution country to the crisis, to the climate crisis. And if we frame that way, we won't have a lot of problems in terms of shaping the narrative.
Our question is this: how can we have a situation where these people who are affected will not only be actively involved in the decisions that affect them, but more importantly, to transition themselves away from being simply victims to become people who are active players, who are able to put their interests and their needs and their issues forward as part of their policy in this energy transition.
In the next couple of days, we will engage equity. It cannot be that we're going to be sitting and just be happy with downstream income. We've got to be right there at the table, and we've got to have a meaningful participation as far as equity is concerned.
A clear example is a situation we are having in Sierra Leone, a community in the city rural area called Black Johnson. You have the Chinese investors coming to do fishing, and they've installed large solar panels. This is a land over decades of years, heritage of the people, and our government is so desperate for the envelope. They are now forcing the people away. We are raising the voice, the concerns, but just because they are desperate for the revenue they get from these Chinese people or whosoever comes with the investment, they sacrifice their people. So what strategy can we develop from this room to get our government paying attention to all of us?
The business people or the importers of these solars sometimes have tax holidays, and and the products are way cheaper than, supporting innovation within our countries. So you find that products, let me say from Kabale to Kampala, are highly taxed. The revenue is high. By the time normal Ugandans are done with the product, it's way expensive than what is being imported in.
We have other companies which also produce these solar systems or solar panels. For example, solar panels from Germany, though are not affordable, but corruption is a big challenge which make most of our countries not to procure quality things. So I think while discussing these issues of energy, we need also to look at the corruption issues affecting our countries.
If you look at Communal Lands Act in Zimbabwe, all power vests in the president and the minister. So even as a community, if we do a crowdfunding towards solar energy, we can be displaced at any time, willy-nilly by the president or other people. So as for solar energy, it's an issue because of this issue of security of tenure in Zimbabwe.
We do face some challenges all over, whether it be energy, solar energy that will pump water. We do not have drinking water. But because of this meeting that we've listened to very well, I think that now we are trying to organize to have solar energy to support Burkina Faso, given that we really need this energy.
Those who are pushing for gas, like the Africa Development Bank, they are saying it's a bridging fuel from dirty to clean energy. But that's not the real case scientifically. Gas is part of what are called short-lived climate pollutants. It's a powerful greenhouse gas if you are looking at gas. Its atmospheric life is 12 years, but it is the second largest contributor to global warming after carbon dioxide. It is 86 times stronger than carbon dioxide if you are looking at per unit of mass.
At this time when everybody is talking about the shift to renewable, it is that challenge of community rights versus the shift. And the reason why to also just locate the discussion around frontline communities is because in the pursuit, in the climate justice movement pursuit for a shift from fossil fuels, sometimes the burden is borne, and most times the burden is borne by local communities where these projects are happening.
So communities are excluded through limited knowledge about the resources available. So if you don't have enough knowledge, someone was talking about it yesterday, if you don't have enough knowledge of the resources that is available to you, the mineral in the region, so you would not be able to effectively participate in the process. So that automatically means exclusion from the whole process.
But the nature of the European Union thing means that when they are doing foreign policy, they have to say clearly what they are doing because they have to get other countries to join them. So when the European Union calls it critical raw materials, it is putting its finger on the nail because critical minerals are now important as a lever of industrial power. In the olden days, the drivers of industrial power are oil and other minerals. But we are moving to a new terrain, right? The future of industry, robotics, artificial intelligence, chips, all those things rely one way or the other on one type of critical minerals or the other.
And the indigenous people of Africa, collectively within local communities, are here also to voice, but to also have an equal say at the table as we develop the new strategy of Africa's critical minerals position at the table of the scramble for minerals.
Our interest is that when people talk about clean energy and transition, they forget about the people whose lands, whose livelihood and everything are affected by those resources. In this, we are talking about communities.
This will help communities and also our countries. This inclusion, this involvement on this those space, because it will touch the health issues, nutrition issues, and also economic issues.
Sasa kwa hivyo sisi tuko shida kubwa na bado makampuni zinakuja ambayo tuhusishwi kama mama. Sisi hakuna mtu anahusisha sisi. Tunaona tu kitu inaendelea, wanachukua kwa nguvu kifua. Wanatumia kifua kushukua kwa kifua. Hata wasomi wajulishi wasomi, baadaye watoto wanakuja wanaona. Kila wakati tunaambiwa acres, hatujui maana acres ni nini. Kumbe acres ni kumaanisha wamechukua ardhi kubwa. Kwa hivyo hapo tunaumia sana tukiwa wafugaji.
Land grabbing without FPIC led to loss of grazing land, livelihoods and cultural disruption. Court rulings remain unimplemented, highlighting government failures even currently.
For those from Zambia, DRC, and Angola, there's a Lobito corridor for export of critical minerals. But for oil, we are also seeing pipelines that can displace communities.
Issues that affect us the most, as my brother next door has spoken about, is the relocation of people because there are big companies coming into our area and want to mine. So their livelihoods are obviously affected. They get taken and put into areas where you cannot farm, you cannot plow, you cannot do anything. You need to live off unorganic food, and whereby these people are used to eating food that they process on their own.
So the routes, animal routes, migratory routes are blocked. Even wildlife routes are blocked. Why? Because there are huge turbines, which are about 365 of them. They're making some noise. They make some noise when they go around. We sound. This affects even animals like camels. Affected by this kind of turbines.
We learn much on the climate justice, energy and mining issues. And we also get opportunity to even strategize, to even have a planification on what we will doing when we go back home. We really think that this is a good thing for our communities, women, young peoples, our countries, and all Africa.
We discussed how communities can benefit from energy contracts and the critical minerals, and we put in place strategies which we will take back and also create awareness to our communities and make sure that we advocate for community agreement that will benefit our community.
It is important that in this entire development that we protect the indigenous people and that we protect the indigenous people's place in the conversation, and that indigenous people are part and parcel of what it is that we are going to do as we develop the conversation and the ideology of transition minerals or critical minerals.
Can we have African mining vision without Nkrumah Nyerere's vision for African Union governments?
We had at that time actually campaigned for the integration of UN within the mining vision, which didn't succeed. And of course, generally, the mining vision was not strong on human rights. And that was our biggest challenge because we were part of the society that time from indigenous community actually engaging with the vision. Is human rights component weak and didn't address some of the issues that we were looking at.
The hostility from foreign governments, especially Europe, was one of the biggest reasons why we have not been able to implement the African mining vision. In fact, the European Union, together, the UK was pretty part of it, they began to take steps to either confuse the African mining vision or stop it completely.
You have quality check boxes from what that looks like, and also at what level are we talking about this sense of responsibilities? Is it on the artisan level, like Ekal mentions, or at the level of value addition or these investors who are buying? So who is responsible for responsible sourcing?
Looking at these resources that are available within our common, areas, we divide ourselves into our small sections, each one of us struggling to get a piece or even dominate, over others. And this now creates room for these external actors to bypass, a lot of processes, and we lose benefits through this.
Our community visions often differ from official project narratives because investors or governments come to impose their own models, usually serving their own interest.
New technologies that they bring on board. So they use that to stay in control. And so most of the times, communities don't have knowledge of those technologies. So with that, they keep the people suppressed. And so they are in charge through these, technologies.
Guinea, there is what we call a decentralized government or counties. We've got counties, district, provinces, wards, locations. But these local authorities will come and impose the vision of the central government to the devolved units. And oftenly, the communities are not listened to. The youth are the first victims of mining activities, given that they are the first victims on the ground when a mine collapses. You'll actually count 80% of the victims are the youth, and these are the ones that are exploited. It is extremely expedient that we do not take this down.
The industry needs the workers who are qualified, and unfortunately the young people are not qualified. That means they will be reduced to secondary form of workers, and they won't be able to respond to these value chains in terms of the community, because even the issue of paying the taxes is done on a central way, but those resources never come back to the areas where the processes are implemented.
There is obviously in most countries that communities need to benefit from projects, including renewable energy projects and transition mineral mining projects. But we need to look at what that definition of local communities is. In South Africa, I was giving an example where they moved people from one place of South Africa into a community near a wind farm so they could say they were part of the local community, and then hired them.
The AMV aims to integrate minerals into economic sectors but faces implementation challenges. A lack of awareness, government inaction, and external funding dependency are hindering this progress. Artisanal and small-scale miners are marginalized despite their economic importance. The vision's goals of beneficiation and policy coherence remain largely unrealized.
This will strengthen advocacy campaigns and access of clean energy for communities in affordable prices and fair prices, advocacy for resettlement, and also just compensations.
Critical minerals play two roles, therefore. One, as it has a role in the different organization of our economy. So as I said, critical minerals can provide energy because we have energy deficiency, energy inequity. So critical minerals used properly can help us jump the energy deficiency group if we are using it properly, so that our villages and things can be lighted up, whether we're using solar or not.
How do we embed issues to do with grievance redress related in terms of non-judicial grievances for communities? Also, the Africa Mining Accountability Platform, which is the online reporting.
First pillar of this vision is having a clear defined legal and institutional framework. Using Sierra Leone as example, right? With the support of Third World Network, we conducted a lot of consultations for which we submitted paper towards the regulation of our law. But in that law, World Bank funded Sierra Leone.
Okay.
The final draft was with World Bank for over a month before it reaches to Parliament.
Is there a tool that has been developed that helps to hold governments that do not comply, or that do not hold companies that don't comply to FPIC accountable in ensuring that it is made effective? Is there a tool? Thank you.
People must understand the issue of the African mining vision because many people don't know about it. Even in the civil society, many actors are not aware about this. So it's important for them to know about it.
The law has been made in such a way that the one who wants to mine, because the mineral belongs to the state, through the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources and the Minerals Commission, the person gets the licenses and then goes to the community and announces to the community that I've been given licenses to mine here. So if you think my mining will affect you, write to me. So for me, that entry point is challenging because I think we should rather consult the owner, the owners get their buy-ins before we issue the licenses out.
When the rights holders are engaged and stand up for themselves, it is clear that that might be a more powerful movement than just one human right defender. The community itself should be human right defender.
Government consults with itself, or companies pick gatekeepers who just sign things because they get individual benefits and sell off the communities. It should be based on self-selection of representatives so that a cross-section of society, women, youth, elders, are brought into this space. It should have an element of grievance redress mechanism so that things that can be solved before we do an entire FPIC process can be addressed as they happen. And this dispute resolution mechanism need to have traditional approaches to conflict resolution.
What we have done is to build community mining watch committees in all the communities. Because some of us at the level of the meso level cannot be in those villages, all the villages. And so these community mining watch committees are the ones, when there's an issue, they see some suspicious movements.
Training of community paralegal is very important because it's quite and more sustainable when paralegals come from community and they help community defend their interests.
We are building solidarity so that when there's a labor issue in relation to the energy transition, local communities, indigenous people can come together. When artisanal and small-scale miners are criminalized, we can come together and support them and give solidarity so that we make sure that African citizens, especially local communities, indigenous people, miners, and labor unions are actually at the front lines of the conversation of energy.
It's to scale up this conversation and then get strategies that we can go back with and also improve on our work in our various localities. And then, of course, I'm expecting that with what has happened, when we go back, we're going to have our communities being on the table in terms of driving the project Energy Justice, so they can actually understand and appreciate what energy transition and justice means for frontline communities.
The moment you start talking of green hydrogen, it means you must use renewable energy for you to produce green hydrogen. So you need critical minerals. So there's a connection that you need solar power, you need wind, and that's the context where you also connect hydrogen and critical minerals.
The desalination process have many marine impacts. It will kill the marine biodiversity. It will harm the fisher communities. And by the way, in Tunisia, one of the regions that they're gonna have a green hydrogen project and they consider it green hydrogen hub is Gabas City. They have 10,000 fishermen. All these fishermen are threatened by desalination plant to be produced later in the green hydrogen.
What we are seeing in the attempt to promote free and informed consent is really a movement towards a policy setup, a practice setup that promotes free and informed consent across scales.
Locals still have a limited knowledge of what a just transition means, because it's a new concept and it's still a process for us to adapt to these type of processes. So we need community-led project with capacity building, but we were struggling with capacity building because we say that we as indigenous communities, we already have this capacity. All we need is the sharpening of these capacities that we already have.
The just transition is not well understood, and the communities are excluded. The communities needed to be helped in this just transition, and the proposal to have an inclusive management, including the communities, honor the commitments, and especially have a political goodwill to support these communities.
Advocacy for sustainable, eco-friendly mining practices, and that is to enable them in the place where they can't avoid just having that project for probably government overriding interest. They just have to advocate for eco-friendly practices so adaptation can be easier.
Strategies including evidence-based advocacy, community-led dialogues, media coverage, and capacity building, resistance through picketing, legislative advocacy, and solidarity networks was emphasized to hold governments and multinational institutions accountable.
We need to admit that we need to fight for our energy sovereignty. We need to talk about energy sovereignty and energy justice. What we're seeing right now is multinationals taking profit of our resources, while we are still struggling from energy poverty, lack of electricity access. For more than 600 million Africans can't have electricity access. So we need to push for a sovereign pathways of energy transition.
Now, if we then think of critical minerals as a source of finance, and all other minerals as a source of finance, that we can manage better. The word they use is husband, but I'm not sure that is the correct way. Nurture it better and make sure that we retain as much of it in our economy as possible. Then the starting point of our transformation will be how we transform our resources into finance, to finance our development, rather than constantly looking for money to borrow from the outside.
That it cannot be that we are just going to be just waiting for a mining company, to come and then to exploit our resources. We have to own these the resources. We have to own the process of exploiting these resources. We cannot be sitting over here any longer as African people and the African collective, including indigenous people and the local community, and we are just mere spectators, and we are just going to receive revenue. We need to lead the conversation as far as equity is concerned.
We need to support artisanal and small-scale miners through formalization and policy inclusion, as well as promoting education and reskilling to empower communities in mining and energy sectors.
Yes, we will be talking about the impact on livelihood and compensation, but nothing on the health issues in this mining. Why this? Because we have been working with the community that has been impacted by these extractive industries. Their health has been seriously impacted, but there is nothing about health.
So mining comes in, they relocate us. Mining comes in, they mess up our land. We're also looking at about 12 portions that are opened. It's open land, unrehabilitated land, in that space, we find that there's a whole lot of animals falling into those pits. We're finding that there's an uproot on artisanal minings, whereby they are not given licenses to mine in those areas. So it's also a danger to the community. Then we ask ourselves, is this FPIC viable for us as community members?
Under the contract law in Uganda, okay, full-time employees are the ones that are entitled to benefits like health insurance, health insurance and all that. But when it's contract, there is nothing much you get apart from maybe take off the 6% NSSF, you know, and that's it. When you fall sick, that is up to you. When you are ill, actually they lay you off and get another person. That's how it operates, and that is really very unfair.
There are proposals that they must sit in special economic zones, and that may mean displacement of communities, or it may mean concessions that may be given to companies not to pay taxes, maybe to suspend certain labor practices, and a lot of other labor relations issues that may suffer within those zones if we don't monitor them.
As organization, we are creating awareness and we are working in relation to other human rights organizations at national level. We are sensitizing people in various zone or region. We are targeting various community so that the community will be sensitized on the various risks emanating from these multinationals who are working on the oil production.
Community-led strategies and policy reforms are essential for equitable resource governance. Proposed actions on this included policy coherence, community mining watch committees, which came out very strongly, and collaboration with student unions and trade unions, legal frameworks, media engagement, and once again, solidarity networks were highlighted as key tools to enforce accountability.
There are different stages of processing, and that at least if some of those we could do locally, then the value of our resources increases, but through the processing we're also able to establish some local industries and create some jobs locally. So we should really do a critical study of all the minerals and look at how can we take care of some of the processes, even if we don't produce the end product, even if we don't produce the batteries. How can we do the initial steps of processing?
We should create more and more resistant front from all the African countries, from the North African countries to Namibia to South Africa, because to say no to the green extractivism, to say no to this green hydrogen plans, which is not benefiting us.
We are facing the same problems. We are facing the same situation. We are facing the same trouble. And what's stopping us from uniting? What's stopping us from coming with one African voice for the critical minerals that we have? You know, this is a blessing, not a curse. So whenever we decide that this is enough, and we have to get united to address our issues, that is when we will be seeing a light at the end of the tunnel.
Mimi ni mtetezi. Minafanya ile kazi njuu ya ile makomuniti nikala kando kando ya madini. Alors wakati tunaikala huku tunazungumuza, tunaona gisi gani tunaweza kufanya njuu ya kuweza kusaidia wale watu wote wanajikuta ndani ya ile magumu, kwa mfano yulu ya madini.
We should delink from the West and the global North, and we should build a green industrial policy that create jobs, respect the environment, and not harming our local communities and give them their rights.
We think it's long overdue that we begin to develop our own voice, our own muscle, and that we begin to develop our own strategy and program as far as transition or critical minerals are concerned. We've been left outside of the conversation. Everybody in the global north has been having this conversation without Africa.
So the incorporation of art in any discussion is very, very crucial. Through this art, whatever is being said can be stored in a mural, in graphic recording, and can be referred to as a repository for maybe future engagements or even sparking debates, because art is meant to disturb the ones who are calm and calm those who are disturbed. So it's very crucial to have art here.
The importance of having such an artwork is so that participants can see themselves in the mural that we have just created. They can be part of it, they can express themselves. Even some of them, maybe they don't understand the different languages that are here, but in the convening, they were able to showcase their languages, their different cultures in the mural.
The exciting part about this Frontlines conversations is that we've brought almost 25 countries together. You know, we have the Sahel, of the 3 countries of the Sahel, we have Chad, we have Mozambique, Southern Africa is here, you know, Namibia, Botswana, we have Eastern Africa, we have Tunisia, and so it really showcasing that Africa is leading a conversation around energy transition, but we want to make sure that the African citizens are actually the ones leading the conversation and they're not on the periphery of this discussion.